AEW Double or Nothing 2024 took place last night, and it may very well have been the most chaotic AEW show in history. So let's just get straight into it, no wasting time, just like the video right now, and let's recap AEW Double or Nothing 2024. Alright, let's start with a very quick recap of the buy-in as we open the show on the buy-in with Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo continuing on with their feud. I'm glad this match got to be a part of the show, and I think this was one of the best buy-in matches in recent history that I can remember. It was a good match between the two, and it set up for the trilogy to finish off the feud between these two, as Deonna won the match with a flash pinfall finish, holding on to the ropes, and got the dusty finish, and we're definitely getting a third match between these two. We then had the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass versus Cage of Agony, which is Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony's new name. I did not watch this match. I have no idea who won it. I really couldn't care less about it. And after that, Tony Khan came out with Martha Hart, and they announced the Owen Hart tournaments for this year, which this year will see the winners get world title shots at All In, both for the men's and women's world titles. Very interesting. I'll give my early predictions later on. For now though, we open the main show with William Ospreay and Roderick Strong. I don't know why I called him his full name there, but this match was a great way to open the show. We start off with a very scary spot where the ref was distracted, and Matt Taven comes in and hits the ropes right in front of the ref, which kind of annoyed me, and hits a very gnarly but scary spot as he delivers a lariat to Ospreay, who was on the shoulders of Mike Bennett outside, and Ospreay nearly died off that spot probably, but he was fine. He was so chill about it, kept going forward and kept up with the high spots and the crazy pace of this match. Just a perfect styles clash as Ospreay kept up the speed and Roderick Strong would slow it down with his brutal backbreakers and impact moves. Undisputed Kingdom are ejected after Wardlow gets involved, and Ospreay hurts Strong, and it looks to be a ref stoppage, which means no title win, and Ospreay is conflicted whether to hurt him or not and continue the match and get the win clean to win the title, but Callis gets in his ear and Ospreay follows and goes for the Tiger Driver but hesitates and can't do it as Roddy takes advantage and hits his finisher for a huge near fall. Ospreay then reverses, hits the Hidden Blade, and then hits the Stormbreaker to win the AEW International title. I'm actually surprised by the result of this match. Ospreay being champ is a good thing, but poor Roddy being a transitional champ, he doesn't deserve that, but this was a good match regardless. Adam Copeland comes out post-match, which is strange timing, but okay. He gets on the mic and says who's ready for story time with Adam Cole. He talks about his injury and how his life has been hell for the last few months, and he holds a devil mask up as MJF chants "Reign in," and Adam goes to hit his pose, and the lights go out, and on the Tron appears a very mysterious video showing a first-person POV walking through seemingly what looks like MJF's manor house. And of course, then out comes MJF, a huge pop for Maxwell as he's got unfinished business with Adam Cole. Adam Cole tried to hug it out with him, which kind of made no sense to me for him to try do that, and him and MJF do hug before MJF kicks him square in the dick and hits a brain buster. He gets on the mic and calls Adam Cole a noodle-armed bobblehead and starts cutting a promo of his own and talks about his relationship with Adam Cole and everything relating to them, and reintroduces himself to the fans, as well as saying he doesn't need a New Japan or a Vince McMahon, and he hits an elbow drop on the Devil Mask and chucks it into the crowd and pretty much announces that he's resigned with AEW. I mean, no shit. And welcome back MJF, he looks shredded and it's great to see him back as he's back to his old self and the wholesome MJF is dead. Next up for the trios titles we had Bang Bang Gang versus Death Triangle, and this was just your classic trios action, mayhem on all corners. Death Triangle back to their regular form. It's great to see them on pay-per-view once again. Being real though, I was eating during this match, so I wasn't paying attention. Yes, I know I'm a bad YouTuber, but at least I'm being honest here. But it was good from what I saw, and Juice Robinson returned to get the assist for Jay White to hit the Blade Runner on Pac to get the win, and the Bang Bang Gang retain, and Juice Robinson seemingly back from injury now. Good to see him. Next up, we then have Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb for the Women's World title. This was a really well built up match. Throughout all the Dynamite episodes I've been reviewing, Serena has been built up really well as a babyface. However, unfortunately tonight, the reactions from the crowd didn't reflect that, as the crowd just loved Toni Storm too much. For me, this was one of the best timeless Toni Storm matches so far in AEW since the timeless gimmick became a part of Toni Storm. A great back and forth bout between the two, very hard hitting. Serena Deeb was punishing the knee throughout the match, and at one point she has a big submission hold locked in on Toni Storm's knee, and Mariah May tries to throw the towel in, but Luther grabs it off her, and Toni Storm escapes the submission, and then sees Luther holding the towel, and thinks that he was about to do it. There's definitely some stories being told with Mariah May here, who is definitely winning the Owen Hart Cup to challenge Toni at Wembley, by the way. That's my first prediction. Serena kicks out of the Storm Zero and hits her finisher on the apron and then in the ring again, but Toni still kicks out. What will it take to put one of these women away? Well, only a Storm Zero from the middle rope into another Storm Zero for Toni Storm to get the win and retain the title. And her and Mariah are completely cool, but we saw what we saw. Don't do my boy Luther like that. Trent versus Orange Cassidy is up next. The first thing to point out is that Orange Cassidy comes back out to Where Is My Mind by Pixies. I hope that's his permanent theme song again. I'm not sure it will be though, but fingers crossed because I love that song. It's a big brawl to start out, but then it just slowed right down and they just started having a normal wrestling match, which really didn't suit the feud. It should have been a brawl here. Their Dynamite match was that. It was a brawl, and the Dynamite match should have been this match, and this match should have been the match on Dynamite. They got these two matches the wrong way round. Orange Cassidy picks up the win with a flash pinfall, a finish that only makes me think this story is continuing, probably with a big stipulation blow-off, as Trent leaves in anger saying he's done, shoving away Rocky Romero and refusing questions from Renee Paquette. I wonder what's next. Next up, it's three-way action. It's FTW rules. It's Hook, Shibata, and Chris Jericho for the FTW title. And right from the get-go of this match, they were just bullying Chris Jericho. First, they took it in turns to throw him into dice that they rolled all over across the ring. The ring was just covered in dice throughout the match. They bullied him with kendo sticks. And then there was a botched table spot as Shibata looked to hit a Death Valley driver to hook on Jericho, who's lying on the table. And while it was a brutal spot, the table didn't break, but it then gets set up in the corner quickly, with Shibata throwing Jericho through it, then drop kicking him as he sat in the debris. Hook kicks out the codebreaker, then locks in the red drum, and Jericho looks to be about to tap, but Big Bill steps in to stop it, and he looks to chokeslam Hook through a table on the outside, but Hook hits an awesome T-bone suplex to Big Bill through the table, a sick spot that almost damn near impaled Big Bill. Meanwhile, in the ring, Jericho locks in the walls on Shibata, but Shibata reverses into the figure 4, and Hook then gets the red drum locked in as well, but a mystery man comes in and takes out Hook and Shibata with a trash can, and the masked man is none other than Brian Keith. Just as I predicted in my AEW review last Wednesday, it looks like he's joined the learning tree. Hook throws Brian Keith out of the ring, but turns around into a Judas effect, and Jericho then pins Shibata to win. I actually can't hate on this match other than the result. It still makes sense storyline wise because at least Brian Keith came in to cost them the win. But I can't hate on this match because the crowd were into it by the end after starting out quiet, and I'm a fiend for hardcore wrestling. I love matches like these. I thought it was a good match, I can't lie. We had Jon Moxley and Konosuke Takeshita. These guys really did have the match that Trent and Orange Cassidy should have had, I think. It was a wild brawl all over the ringside area and in the ring. They were brawling all over the place. And Konosuke Takeshita just completely dominated this match for a big chunk of this match, just hitting move after move after move on Moxley, who's just kicking out and getting near falls, and Konosuke Takeshita is just absolutely destroying Jon Moxley. Takeshita goes to get some chairs out, and while the ref was clearing the ring, Moxley hits a stomp to Takeshita onto the chair out of nowhere for the finish, and he sneaks the victory in a brutal way. It was an alright match, but this did nothing for Takeshita in the end, man. He came out of this just looking really poor. The fact he wasn't able to get the win after dominating the match, and the fact that Mox got the win despite it being an eliminator, Like, what was the point of all of this? Either way, next up is Malachi versus Adam Copeland for the TNT Championship. It's a barbed wire steel cage match, but I must have got the wrong misconception. I must have got the wrong idea, because I thought barbed wire steel cage was entirely made out of barbed wire, like a steel cage entirely made out of barbed wire. But no, it's just the top so that they can't climb out, but we saw that ended up being a non-factor later on anyway. This is Malachi's first singles title match, I believe, don't quote me on that, and also his first singles pay-per-view match since Cody. We get the Brood entrance for Adam Copeland, but no Gangrel, and we get straight into the match as within minutes, Malachi is already gigging, already bleeding, and the two lads are exchanging turns with weapons like a barbed wire bat, and table spots going on with sunset flips, and they're exchanging finishes very early on as well, as Malachi looked to hit the end kick, but is speared out of nowhere for a big near fall. Then, in probably one of the craziest wrestling spots I've seen in recent memory, Copeland sets up Black on another table, wraps around in barbed wire to hook him to the table, and then climbs all the way to the top of the cage and hits an elbow drop to Black through the table, and Cope landed so badly, like literally feet first. I thought his ACLs were finished, I thought his knees were finished, I thought his spine must have been finished, but he was completely fine. He really undershot that though and seemed to hesitate in the air, realizing just how crazy this spot is. All that just for a 2 count anyway. Malachi then reverses the spear into another end kick for another near fall, and okay, now this match is going on for a bit too long. They're really kicking out of a lot right now. They then go outside and brawl, which leads to the House of Black coming out, and they look like they're going to swerve and join up with Cope, but then they attack him. It's a double swerve. The House of Black look to destroy Cope in the ring, but the lights go red, and out comes Gangrel from underneath the ring, and they all brawl. Gangrel is here, great pop for him, we wanted to see that, before Copeland catches Malachi with a spear and uses a barbed wire crown in a crossface, and Malachi passes out. Copeland wins. What a match, what a finish. Cope's reign has been amazing. His AEW run as a whole has just been great. He's really been working. And this match did go on a tad too long for me, but it had everything in it, and it was a perfect way to end this feud. But next up, it's the first of the triple main event, as they did a slot machine gimmick to determine which of the triple main event was on, which I'm guessing was worked, and it very much seemed it, as it's Mercedes Mone versus Willow Nightingale for the TBS title. We get a special Mercedes entrance with an inspirational video package and neon drummers and dancers, and the crowd are hot for this match from the start. There's dueling chants, and the first thing I noticed is that it seemed like Mercedes was working like a heel, but that kind of changed throughout the match, which I didn't really understand. And this match did have its moments here and there, but it's Mercedes' first match back from a major injury that was thought to put her out, and to me, despite a couple of botches, she's not missed a beat. She looked really good out there, and Willow has obviously been on the form of her life. She's targeting Mercedes' injured knee throughout the match. She hits a sick pounce at one point, which got an insane sell from Mercedes, my favorite moment from the match. And Willow hits the powerbomb, but Stokely inadvertently distracts the ref, and so it's a near fall. Monet gets the crossface locked in, but Willow escapes, but shortly after, Monet hits the Monet Maker out of nowhere, which I can't lie, didn't look great, but it beats Willow, and she wins the TBS title on her debut match. Really good match here, not the best of the night, but a really good solid match, and a good debut for Mercedes and AEW. Her as champ is really exciting. I'm interested to see where Willow goes from here as well, and it's time to start the Mercedes Mone versus Jamie Hayter at All In agenda. Post-match though, Statlander shoves Stokely and helps Willow out before smashing her against the ramp and beating the piss out of her, as Statlander and Stokely have turned on Willow, and it was predictable, we all saw this coming, but it was meant to happen. It was good that they did this, but what wasn't good is that they didn't let this breathe at all, and right like 5 seconds after the attack happened, they're cutting away to a video package. They didn't give this any time at all. It should have got some more focus and a bit more time to breathe, like I'm saying. But alas, there's definitely a lot more to come with this storyline. Next up though, it's our co-main event, as it's Swerve Strickland versus Christian Cage for the AEW World Championship. This is a match I watched the next day because I fell asleep before this match and the main event. This match was kinda in the death spot, but they did good, and the crowd weren't too hot for it, but they got a little more into it as it went on. And this went how you'd expect it, with all the shenanigans with the patriarchy and Prince Nana constantly getting involved and the brawling all around the ringside area. Classic AEW gang wars. They brawled on the outside, used weapons of course, and there were some brutal spots using the steps. But there was an awesome finishing sequence as well, as Swerve stomps Christian on the announce table, then in the ring reverses a spear into an awesome mid-air house call kick, hits the Swerve Stomp, then another house call kick, and gets the 1-2-3. These two guys made it work. It was a good match, and a good follower to the Mercedes Mone Willow Nightingale match, and a good precursor to what we're about to witness next. Anarchy in the arena, the Elite, the Young Bucks, Jack Perry, and Okada, of course, that is the Elite, up against Team AEW of Bryan Danielson, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Darby Allin. So much happened in this match, I'm not even going to try put it into order of what time it happened, because just too much happened and I can't even begin to talk about it all. There's just so much. Started out in a funny way though when Danielson comes out to Final Countdown, but the EVPs cut it off because it cost 200k per use, but that didn't stop Darby Allin from hitting a coffin drop at the very climax of the song. Great timing. Jack Perry then hits Darby Allin with a bus, like minutes into the match. Yes, I did just say that. He did hit Darby Allin with a bus. But Darby Allin gets one back when Jack Perry was later flamethrowered in return after he tried to hurt Tony Khan, who also gets involved in the match. But yes, buses and flamethrowers are involved in this match. Darby is then hung up above the ring from his ankle, just suspended there, as the Elite just destroy him and hit him with a thumbtack super kick to the exposed broken nose. Oh my word, that was brutal. And Danielson is left alone in the ring with the Elite, as Darby, like I said, was destroyed with the super kicks, and FTR had been taken out with an exploding chair courtesy of the Young Bucks. Danielson tries to fight the Elite off. He does an alright job, but he's taken out with a running knee and pinned by Jack Perry for the Elite to get the win in one of the craziest matches I've ever seen, and probably the most video game match I've ever seen ever. Yeah, I don't think any of these 8 guys surely are the same after this match. This match took years off of all these guys' lives, surely. It was just brutal. I'm being hyperbolic there, obviously, but this match was brutal. It was everything Anarchy in the arena and this blood feud needed to be. And just like that, Jack Perry has been established in a big way, getting this win here, and I can firmly hold my hands up and say I was wrong saying he ruined his own career, okay? It happens, it happens. It was just a title, okay? But overall, I'm rating this pay-per-view an 8 out of 10. The pros of this pay-per-view, there was good matches for the most part, top to bottom. This card was really solid. The MJF return was awesome to see, as well as Juice Robinson, him being back is brilliant to see as well. Mercedes and Ospreay being new champions is also really exciting, but that brings me to one of the cons, which is while Mercedes and Ospreay won, but at what cost was it? Because Willow and Roddy unfortunately ended up being only transitional champions, which they deserved to be more of, but I'm sure they'll get a chance to do more stuff in AEW, touch wood, hopefully. Of course, Willow has a lot of stuff going on with Chris Statlander, which should have got more focus on this show here as well. They cut away from that far too quickly, and another big con about this show, way too long. I went to bed about 4:30 in the morning, just before 5 in the morning, and there was still 2 matches to go, and those matches totaled like an hour, so I was never staying up for them. But that's just European problems, I guess. Either way, very, very good show here, very chaotic show, the most chaotic show in AEW history, I would say. Let me know what you thought of this show in the comments down below, what you thought of AEW Double or Nothing 2024. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye, and keep on rolling.